At this time, ask everyone to stand, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome to the Independence Township Planning Commission meeting. Copies of the agenda for tonight's meeting are available at the entrance to the room. Agendas and minutes of prior meetings are available on the township website. The meeting will be conducted in accordance with the agenda as presented or amended by the Planning Commission. State law establishes planning commissions. This planning commission is comprised of 7 residents appointed to serve their community. Members are appointed by the supervisor and confirmed by the township board. Other individuals participating in the meeting include representatives of the township's planning consultant and the township's attorney. If you wish to address the planning commission, please come forward to the podium when recognized and provide your name and address on the sign-in sheet. Please begin your remarks by stating your name for the benefit of the commissioners. There are also some people who are attending the meeting remotely. They will also be given an opportunity to speak publicly, as we have 2 public hearings this evening. Same rules apply before they speak. We're asked that they give their name and address for the public record. All remarks are to be addressed to the Planning Commission, not to anyone else in the room. If you have a cell phone, any other device that could make noise or disrupt the meeting, I ask you at this time, please switch it off or put it on silent mode. And at this time, I ask the Planning Commission Secretary to conduct a roll call.
Mr. Boersma.
Here.
Mr. Galley.
Here.
Mr. Loughran. Absent. Mr. Patel.
Here.
Mr. Ritchie.
Here.
Chairman Sabada.
Here.
Ms. Tully here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We are 1 short. Mr. Rodman, could I ask you a favor? Could you give me a hard copy of the agenda, please? I forgot to grab one when I came in. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Here, I got an extra copy.
Thank you. I like to tick it. Thank you, Dick. So next item is item D. I've lost it on my hard copy. Review of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions that they want to propose for this agenda, or is it okay as presented?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to point out that I received contact from the PC file 2021 or 2022-011. That is the public hearing, F2. They would like to be pulled from the agenda.
Okay.
Item number 2, F2.
Yes, F2 is no longer.
Was there a reason provided?
They're just revising the plans.
Okay, I have no issue with that. What we will do, though, because it is a notified public hearing, we will open the public hearing in case there's someone in the audience who wishes to speak. So, to be fair,
Okay.
we at least have to give them the opportunity to comment.
Okay.
Thank you. So, how do you want to handle that? Do you want to, we're not going to consider the item, but we're going to open the public hearing and leave it open, perhaps?
Or we just
Or do we
take it off the agenda. And
take it
I'll
off the
just
agenda and
renotice it.
re-notify? We can do that.
Yeah, I'll renotice it.
Renotice it, okay. So, I want to be fair to anyone in the audience who's here to speak on that. So, if we take it off the agenda and renotice it,
They can speak a public
they can
comment.
speak a public comment for items that are not on the agenda, because it's no longer going to be on the agenda, but they'll be able to comment if they so choose. Okay? Everyone got that? Okay, I see head nods.
I'll move to approve the agenda with the deletion of item F2 and the rest as presented. Support.
We have a motion and a second. Any comment? All in favor of approving the revised agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 6-0. So I strike item 2. So item E is for public comment for items not on the agenda. Again, we just talked about this. PC file number 2021-001, the amended special land use and amended final site plan approval for a drive-through modification of Culvers is no longer on the agenda. So if you wanted to talk about that, now's your chance. So does anyone in the audience want to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Anyone attending the meeting remotely would you like to speak on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Hearing no one, we close item E. We move on to item F, which is a public hearing. We have one. We used to have two, now we have one. Mr. Galley, I always forget to open the public hearing, so give me a nudge if I forget this time. F1 is PC file number 2022-010. Petitioner is Dixie LLC, 5897 Dixie Highway, Clarkston, Michigan. Parcel number 0833351005. Zoning is O Office, requesting rezoning of the property from O Office, to C1 local commercial. Mr. Carlisle, can you make a presentation, please?
Okay, the reason this is coming before you tonight is that in this building, which has it has been redeveloped and refurbished, the issue was initiated by an inquiry from a potential tenant wanting to know if their use was a permitted use. And it was at that time that the planning department and the building official, did an investigation to determine that, no, it was not. The site was zoned office, and there were certain commercial uses that were not permissible in that vein. However, the building has been used for commercial purposes for as long as I know. I think it's for as long as I've been in the township. It was Bros Electric, and I think it was Bros Electric all that period of time. So Bros Electric was a lighting company, and it was a retail use predominantly. And so we recommended to the owner of the property to go ahead and request rezoning to C1, because everything else in that stretch of Dixie Highway is C1. It's C1 across the street. It's adjacent to multiple family. It's multiple family is behind it. So I did not feel that a change in zoning from O1 to C1 was inappropriate. The other thing is the master plan calls for it to be commercial too. So why the site remained zone office for all these years, I can't tell you. I can't remember why that was the case. It probably should have been zoned commercial a long time ago, but I think because Bros Electric was there for so long as a commercial use, probably nobody thought about it. So consequently, that's some of the history behind it, and also the fact that the surrounding land uses are all similar commercial uses. The master plan calls for it to be designated as a commercial use, served with public utilities. I think there's probably some dimensional nonconformities associated with the building because it was built a long time ago. And as you can see, it's very close to that easterly property line. But other than that, it was our feeling that a commercial zoning would be compatible with the surrounding land use and also consistent with the master plan, and that's why we're recommending approval. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If I were to summarize this application in 10 seconds, would it be fair to say that it's been used for commercial for a long time and it's been master planned for commercial for a long time?
Yep. Yep.
Pretty simple.
Yep. And by the way, if you haven't been in the building, it's the applicant, who happens to be present in the audience, that did a very nice job. It's really nice inside. A couple little boutique type of stores in there, some office space for his own design studio and building business. I think studio for yoga and massage. Yeah, and but beautiful job, really nice in there. Big improvement, frankly.
Any questions for Mr. Carlisle? Does the applicant have anything to add? Nothing to add? This is a public hearing. Public hearing is an opportunity for residents to share their comments on a specific project with the Planning Commission. Everyone in attendance who wishes to speak will be provided with an opportunity to speak. We appreciate everyone who came out tonight to share their thoughts with the Planning Commission. Your comments are important. Before I open the public hearing, it's important to set up some ground rules so that it can be an effective and efficient public hearing. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address for the public record. Please address all comments to the chair. Please be respectful of the planning commission, the consultants, the applicants, and those in the audience. This is an opportunity for residents to provide comment. It's not a discussion, it's not a debate. And please, no clapping, no cheering, no talking during the meeting. With that, I now open the public hearing. Anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this item, please raise your hand. Going once.
Note the public hearing is open at 6:40.
6:40, thank you. I remembered to open it. Just didn't remember to say the time. Seeing no one, is there anyone attending the meeting remotely who wishes to comment on this item? Now is your time to identify yourself and share your comments with us. Going once. Let the record show that there's no one online who wishes to speak as well. So with that, I will close the public hearing at 6:42 PM. Bring it back to the board for consideration. This seems pretty cut and dry to me. Consistent with the master plan. It's been used for commercial, master plan for commercial. This is a layup as far as I'm concerned, so. Anyone object to this? Anyone have anything to add?
Nope.
Pretty simple. Okay,
Make a motion if you want.
go for it.
Okay, and PC file 2022-010, petitioner Dixie LLC for parcel 08-33-351-005. That we rezoned the property from O office to C1 local commercial as presented.
Support. Well, we have a motion and a support. Is there any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote since this is a recommendation for legislative action.
Mr. Boersma,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Lockron, absent. Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Chairman Zavada?
Yes.
Ms. Tully, yes.
We have a recommendation for approval of this rezoning request, and the next step will be going before Township Board for consideration. Next item is item G1. Under regular business, it's PC file number 2020-008. The petitioner is James Friat, 5413 Wood Creek Drive, Clarkston. The parcel address is 5905 Walden Road, parcel number 0827100034. Zoning is OS1, Office Service 1, and the applicant is requesting final site plan approval extension for a period of 1 year. Mr. Carlisle.
This is a site plan that you approved a couple years ago. It's for predominantly for the use of the main tenant. Because I think there was also additional tenant space. I believe one extension was already approved. They have been, one of the things that have delayed their getting moving, for the beginning of this project has been trying to negotiate with Genesis for drainage easements. And apparently that has occurred, so now we'll be able to accommodate a more gravity form of drainage from the site rather than having to pump it up into the storm sewer. So that's taken a little bit of time. And I think that's been one of the main things holding up. So other than that, that's been the main reason why they're asking for the extension.
Okay. Sir, are you the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mr. Carlisle? In an effort to be fully transparent, the Planning Commission members received email correspondence from a former Planning Commissioner who's now on the Township Board. This email was addressed only to members of the Planning Commission. One of the members is also a member of the Township Board. And also the Township Supervisor was copied. It was not forwarded to staff, it was not forwarded to the Township Attorney, it was not forwarded to the clerk, etc. So it seems like the intent of this email was a private correspondence to influence members of the Planning Commission in their vote from a member of the Township Board, which is, in my opinion, inappropriate and unethical. I can get into the reasons why, in my opinion, it is inappropriate and unethical. I think I will. But before I do, because I'm only one opinion, I'm wondering, Brittany, were you provided a copy of this email? Are you aware of it? And do you have a response prepared for this?
We have received a copy of the email yesterday afternoon. We're
Mhm.
aware of the issue. We're looking into it, and we are not prepared to give an opinion tonight
Okay.
on the ethical or not ethical issue. I can speak to the procedural issue, which is that the only issue before you tonight is the extension, okay? And under our zoning ordinance, all you can consider for an extension is whether the developer has given adequate reasoning for needing the extension. Your planner has just told you their justification. If the planning commission finds that to be sufficient, that's your only consideration. Nothing else in that email should be considered for purposes of this approval.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mhm.
This email was not given to us till yesterday, so it's an absolutely fair comment on your behalf to indicate that you haven't had a chance to respond to it. So let me share my opinion with the board and with the petitioner. The petitioner is the one potentially affected by this, so the petitioner deserves to understand that A, there was an email, and B, that there's potential implications of sending this type of an email, because they're the ones potentially impacted by this the most. So I got some problems with this on a lot of levels. Let me start, first problem I have is, this was clearly intended not to inform the public, but to, as private correspondence between a township board member and the planning commission. The township board does not have the authority to review site plans and site plan extensions. Clearly, this is an authority of the planning commission. I believe that's overstepping the bounds of a township board member to try to influence the planning commission. I want to get into this a little bit, because that's the least important of the two, is the private correspondence. Because staff cannot inform the public of this correspondence unless they know about it and they weren't copied on it. The township supervisor was copied on it. The township supervisor apparently didn't have a problem with this correspondence. So that's 2 township board members out of 7 who didn't have a problem with this correspondence. That's disturbing to me as a voter of this township, as a resident of this township, and let me explain why. When you are elected or appointed, in this case, this township board member was not voted in by the electors of the township. He was appointed by 4 votes. That's permitted under the charter. There's nothing illicit or illegal. It's fine. He's still a township board member. That's not my argument here. When you are a township board member, you are given a wide range of authorities and responsibilities. Let me name a couple of them. 1, when there's a vacant seat, you can appoint a township board member. Guess what, folks? We've got 3 right now that are appointed out of 7. That's under the charter, that's okay. That's an authority. You have the authority to review and approve the budget, the most important document that the township has. That's another important authority. You have the authority to approve the master plan, the policy document for land use in the community. You have the authority to approve the zoning ordinance, the law related to land use and development in the community. You have the authority to review and approve all amendments, including maps and text amendments of that document. You have the authority to approve all of the development applications permitted under the zoning ordinance, including plan unit developments. You have all other authorities granted to the township board under all ordinances under the township. It is a lot. It is a massive bundle of authority that you have as a township board member. What you give up when you're on the township board is you give up the right to act like a resident. You don't get to chime in and opine on site plans. You give up that right. For all those authorities that you're granted when you're on the township board, you give up the right to act like a resident, because you are no longer just a resident. You are on the township board, and you're expected to act like a township board member. You're expected to act appropriately and ethically. And we got 2 township board members who think they're above this, or that's an inference on my part, who don't know any better, okay? So we got at least 2 out of 7 who don't know any better. We've got a couple more new ones, newly appointed ones, so that's 4 potentially that don't know any better. Folks, this is a problem. We need ethics training. We need it now for the township board. We got the most important elected official, the supervisor, who was okay with this. We have another board member who sent the email. This is a problem, okay? So, and I'm not an attorney. This is just my opinion, as I'm just a guy. I'm just an appointed guy, okay? But I have a problem when a township board member tries to influence inappropriately the decision of the planning commission. That is inappropriate and it is unethical and it needs to stop. And if you let this happen, we're gonna have more board members emailing us and texting us, trying to influence us. That's how corruption starts, folks. It starts with an email and it snowballs. And before you know it, you have a culture of inappropriate behavior. It's gotta stop. So, what I propose, and we're gonna get to you, sir. This email prompted this aside, okay? So, I request an opinion, I want this in writing, because I'm just a guy. I want the Township Planning Commission to consider this. I make a motion that we request an opinion from the township attorney on whether the email that was sent yesterday by Township Board Member Morocco is appropriate behavior or inappropriate and unethical behavior. I want to make that request in writing to the township board that this happened. That's a motion.
I'll support that.
Any discussion?
I have one comment.
Yes.
I guess after reading the email yesterday as well, I did contact the treasurer, Paul Brown, since he's one of the three full-time elected officials, and told him that I too thought we should have ethics and procedural training for the whole township board again, which we did multiple years ago. But I told him the same thing like you said, just since there are multiple new people on the board, that we should have that training instituted again for the whole board to stop, the activity like you've pointed out tonight. So
That's my next motion, so thank you. So we have a second of my motion, which is to formally request from the city attorney an opinion whether the email was appropriate or inappropriate. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Boersma,
yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Lockren, absent. Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Chairman Zavada?
Yes.
Ms. Tully, yes.
Make another motion. I request that the township board, as soon as possible, receives ethics training. Looking for a second.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please? Yes.
What would that include? What is that?
That would include formally, well, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I anticipate would include, certainly not limited to. It would clearly explain the role of the township board members, their authorities, what ordinances, what laws they would have authority under. It would explain the code and charter. It would explain any ethics provisions under the code and charter. And it would lay the foundation for appropriate behavior moving forward.
Basically, explanation of procedural
Yes.
activity as well. I
Yes.
guess that's why I was saying not only ethics, but it's a procedural methodology. as
Thank you,
well.
Mr. Ritchie.
So-
Yes.
And would the planning commission also get that training?
I would have no issue with the planning commission and/or the zoning board of appeals having similar training. It is always a good idea. It never hurts you to have you cannot have too much ethics training. It's impossible. Yes. Mr. Carlisle.
Just to remind the commission, we did that training for you in 2021.
Excellent.
For the planning commission, and that certainly could be repeated.
Brittany, you had your hand up.
I was just going to recommend that you ask that the board set the scope so that we know what we're advising on, if they want us to draft some sort of ethics policy to adopt, if they want just general ethics training. Our office needs that guidance
From this board?
from the township board.
In your motion, she's saying that, instead of having it in general, that the township board outline what the exact training should be, or
Correct.
what the exact items that you want to happen, so.
Could you come to the microphone, please?
Yes.
I guess to comment on that.
Yes.
I mean, typically you don't ask people receiving the training what their scope is, right?
No, that's,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm phrasing that properly.
that's why I asked you to come to, because we're having a conversation, I wanted the mics to pick up, but,
Well, if you're saying they want, go ahead, actually.
well,
sorry.
I would say
Didn't mean
that
to interrupt.
there are planning firms, there are law firms that do ethics training, and a lot of the, this isn't criticism, a lot of firms have kind of a standard procedural type training that they give elected and appointed boards and committees. I was hoping that your firm had that.
We do have that. We do that training almost every year with multiple communities at their request. It's dependent on what they're looking for, however. They're looking for meeting decorum training, Open Meetings Act training. Ethics training is limited to what state law has on the books, as well as what policies that particular municipality has adopted and whether they're moving towards adopting an ethics policy. So we do tailor our training, but we
given
do
the-
have a general training.
Given the fact that out of 7 township board members, 3 of them are appointed, I think you need to roll up your sleeves and you need to do thorough training. But you know when the last
No
time that they
problem with that.
received training was?
We did a meeting decorum training, I would say about 2 years ago, maybe even a year and a half ago.
I believe that the training that was done for the commission was done, Brian reminded me, was done by Dan and I.
Correct, that's correct.
Well, I guess I would look at the
It
expertise.
wasn't involved at that time, we didn't do anything for the township.
That was Open Meetings Act and meeting decorum training.
Yeah.
Well, I guess then what I would do is I would amend my motion to say that they get the township board and any other boards and committees deemed appropriate by the township board get ethics training. And I think that ethics training should be tailored by Kelly Law Firm and Carlisle Workman Associates. They're very experienced in this community. They know what the shortfalls, the shortcomings are. They know they know about this issue, and they know what the makeup of the board is. The fact that hey, everyone's got to cut their teeth. Everyone has to learn. But this isn't a good start with this email. When we have the most important elected official in the community not reaching out and saying, hey, that was wrong. That's a problem. So with that, that's my motion. Who supported it? Are you okay with my
Yes.
amended?
Support as amended.
Could you repeat the motion?
The motion is that for the township board to be given ethics training as soon as possible, the scope to be determined with input from the township attorney, Kelly Law Firm, and the township planning consultant, Carlisle Workman Associates,
For the Board of Trustees.
for the board of trustees, and any other boards and committees deemed appropriate by the board of trustees.
Support the motion as restated.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Borisma?
Yes.
Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Lockren, absent. Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Chairman Savada?
Yes,
Ms. Tully, yes.
we have a motion. We're getting back to the item that we actually started to talk about. We got there though, right?
Can I make one last quick comment?
Yes, please.
I guess I'd like to commend the planning commission. Nobody responded to it. And in 12 years of being on this board, I don't think anybody on this board has ever talked to me about a case. So, good job to you guys, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I think at least 2 or 3 of us immediately notified the township when we saw it, so I guess we did our part. That's all.
Any other comments before we move on? Okay. G2, review of ordinance amendment to section 10.02E. Mr.
We forgot about him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we forgot about the,
Have a great night. I'm sorry.
I just
yeah.
mention one thing, I had no idea I was.
Please come up here. Please introduce yourself. We know who you are, but for the record.
My name is James Frejat. My address is 5413 Wood Creek Drive, Clarkston, Michigan, 48348. It has recently changed, I will update that. I currently reside at 8364 Ellis Creek Court in Clarkston still. I've been a Clarkston resident for a very long time. Coming into this meeting this morning, as Mr. Carlisle stated, I was coming in here just to get to the, an extension for a period of 1 year. due to the easement, you know, working with a large company like Genesis Health, you know, with the team of attorneys they have is not easy to get through sometimes. I mean, to get a phone call, it took me 3 months to actually get a meeting set up with them. That's primarily what took us so long. The first year that we got an extension was obviously, you know, we're still trying to ramp up from COVID. There was a little bit of uncertainties. And then, you know, this came up. I didn't expect to walk into such an issue this morning or this evening. But I thank you guys for the way this was handled. Very professional. I appreciate every single one of you. With that said, am I allowed to get a copy of this email? Because I feel like I was singled out with this
Absolutely. I'll provide it
project.
to you.
And I just want to get an understanding as to why this happened to me. I mean, I know there's a project going on across the street that's much larger than mine.
Before this meeting's over,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hand this to you. This is a hard copy of the email.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're
With
welcome.
that said, I mean, again, you know, we're looking to hopefully start pulling permits in sometime in the spring once the, you know, the weather breaks, and we'll move forward with this project.
Great, thank you. Any questions? I think it's pretty clear as to the reasons why this extension is sought, and the applicant has indicated that he will pursue this project in a timely fashion as soon as he can. Any, yeah.
Online comment?
Yeah, Joe is on the creek deal.
Mr. Lucricchio, you have a comment?
Only to say, thank you to the chair and the planning commission for your comments about this. I too am, surprised to learn of this email. And, you know, I have my own questions about the ethics or integrity of it, whatever. But I just appreciate the way you handled it, and, always appreciated working with Independence Township. And here's a clear reason why.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any discussion? Motion?
I have,
Yes.
I think this was pre-me. What is this extension for?
Mr. Carlisle, could,
It's for extension of you gave it a final site plan approval, they're asking for a 1-year extension of that approval.
Could you go over, I think what is confusion, maybe he doesn't know there's a time limit to the approval.
Yeah, but you have
So-
to begin within 1 year. And, you're not able to do that.
Because of what he had
Well,
mentioned?
first it was for reasons of COVID, you know, and then, for reasons, if we're still in delay, it was both COVID and trying to get this easement from Genesis, and having, I understand what he's saying, because having had to deal with Genesis when they built here, you know, I understand the complexities of dealing with a large healthcare corporation like that. So anyway, that's why they're asking for another year extension, so that now they can actually get moving on the project.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
a huge team of attorneys and real estate agents that you go through in order to get to the right person with Genesis. And like I said, it took me 3 months to get a phone call back. And that's
But could
primarily
I-
what's
could I-
posted this year.
go ahead, Mr.
Can I add-
Lucricchio.
Thank you. Could I add in, though, that Genesis was outstanding to work with? Yes, they are a big corporation, and they do take time, but they were excellent to work with. They were very cooperative. They were very neighborly, which says a lot about that Walden Road corridor and the projected growth in that area. And we're grateful to them, really, because it's a betterment of the plan and the engineering aspects of this project. So I would like to thank Genesis for, you know, how they helped us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have any other comments? Motion?
Sure, I'd be glad to do that.
Okay.
On PC file 2020-008 for the parcel number 08-27-100-034, requesting final site plan approval extension for a period of 1 year. I move that we approve that.
Support. Discussion? Given that this is a site plan approval extension, can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Boersma,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Lockren, absent, Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Chairman Savada,
Yes.
Ms. Tully, yes.
Congratulations, you have a one-year extension. Hopefully, everything goes smooth for you next year, and you can get that thing done. Thank you, we'll get it on this year. Thank you.
Thank
Next-
you all.
Thank you, Mr. Lucrezio. Have a nice night.
You as well.
Next item is item G3, 2023 Planning Commission meeting schedule. We have, am I jumping the gun here? Oh my gosh, see, I
You already scratched off two.
I already scratched off 2, and I jumped the gun to 3, so I'm a scratch ahead here. So,
Yeah.
Thanks
Well-
for reeling me in, everybody.
I think the site plan that got pulled tonight sort of demonstrated a situation that we created in the ordinance a number of years ago, and I think in retrospect, when you see what the nature of drive-through businesses are like these days, and, you know, especially since the effects of COVID, when people are relying more upon pickup service for food and dry cleaning and everything else, that we put in a restriction in the ordinance that you could not have dual that you couldn't have dual ordering stations. They were strictly prohibited. So we do have, we have them, I believe, at least at the McDonald's on Dixie.
McDonald's has
Yeah,
both locations.
both locations, but they had to go get a variance for them. And, I mean, we're not allowing dual drive-throughs, we would be allowing dual ordering stations by this amendment, which to me makes sense. It's a much more efficient way. It moves traffic through quicker. In fact, I stopped at Culver's tonight at 3:30 to get a bite to eat because I hadn't had any lunch. And at 3:30, their drive-through, I mean, their drive-through was very actively being used. So I think it'll really help prevent traffic from being backed up in their parking lot. The other advantage well, I won't get into the site plan. Some of the details. But all this really would do would allow for, it won't allow for more than one drive-through. It just allows for dual ordering stations so that what you see at McDonald's, for example, could be permitted as a drive-through facility. It'll still be approved by the Planning Commission so that you're reviewing the manner in which it's done. The other thing that needs to be done, however, we'll also have to amend the sign ordinance so that, because you're going to now have dual menu boards. I'm not supposed to call them menu boards, of course, because that's content-based. But so that is also the second proposed amendment. Now, we haven't brought this for public hearing because we wanted to hear what the Planning Commission thought about this before we pursued it any further. So that's it.
Yes.
So, Dick, I take it you're limited to one pay and pickup station because of safety issues? Is that why?
Yes, and we don't also want to permit, you know, there's also this sort of phenomena of co-branding where you have two actual restaurants, and I've seen some really nightmarish drive-through situations where they actually have two drive-throughs and multiple pickup windows, more than one pickup window. I don't recommend that at all. It's a nightmare from a traffic standpoint. But we're not permitting that. All we're allowing for is dual ordering stations through a single pickup window.
We finished with your
Yeah.
question? I find with the dual, it doesn't take up that much more area, and they're really not, they're not twice as impactful,
No.
in other words. And they seem to move traffic, move cars quicker, and which is a good thing regarding, you mentioned it, with cars pulling off the road and not stacking in the road, which you see that on Woodward, you see it on Maple, and it gets really dangerous.
Yeah.
So I support this amendment. I think that's how the drive-through technology is moving.
Yeah.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yeah, like I say, I went to Culver's tonight before the meeting just to drive through and see what it is, and same thing, there was probably 4 or 5 cars stacked up in the drive-through line, and there was probably only 1 or 2 cars for people that were inside ordering, so so definitely the drive-through is a heavier use for the building, at least on my visit anyway. And but I think as long as we maintain our other standards like the bypass lane and
Yes.
some of the, and that it doesn't, we're not taking away from, landscaping and those types of things. So some of the things, that we're gonna talk about with the site plan, I think are improvements all the way around
Yeah, I
for
would
this
agree.
facility. And so I'm very much in favor
Yeah.
of this as well.
Okay.
Will the zoning ordinance be revised, or you'll still have to go through? All
You
that
have
to
to have
get
a
it
public
approved.
hearing. You'll make a recommendation to the township board. The township board approves it, then the ordinance will be revised.
And I like how you stated that it's ordering stations, not dual drive-throughs. So I think as long as we keep that terminology, we should be in good shape, so.
So you, Carlisle Wortman, will do a full review, make sure the dual lanes work, make sure if any parking's impacted and such, and present it to the board. It just takes away the ZBA requirement, essentially.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, because it's gonna, these things will get appealed to the Board of Appeals, and they'll, in many cases, they'll be able to prove a practical difficulty that is creating a negative impact on the parking and on their stacking. So, and I think that's why the Board of Appeals made that decision with McDonald's.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we need any changes to the stacking requirement because of the dual drive-through or not, but I'm just saying, to me, I think it does relieve some of the stacking
Yeah.
issues.
Well, it actually increases the stacking,
Yeah, 'cause
if
you
you think
get a
about it,
separate
because
lane.
now you have a second ordering station, so,
Right.
yeah.
Well, it increases the number of spaces you'll have for that.
Correct.
But I'm just saying, it isn't like we're trying to increase the number of total cars that we
No.
can have stacking or
No.
anything, so. But I do think the dual drives, now that I've seen them at McDonald's and that it does facilitate better flow through
Yeah.
the process.
Well, maybe Culver's is a little bit different because they do have a fairly, healthy, indoor seating area. But in general, most, fast food type restaurants, 75 to 80% or more of their business comes via drive-through.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
most restaurants with the older one, the single is designed for around 10 cars, and now the standard seems to be around 16. So without dramatically changing the layout, they're able to add those extra spaces with not that much bigger of a footprint, and the tail remains as long, but they process quicker and more effectively, so it seems like a good fit.
Yeah. Okay, well, if the commission's okay with this, we'll just proceed then and get this, at an appropriate time in a public, on public hearing.
Should we do we should do a formal,
Yeah, direct us to
Motion.
set the
Motion.
public hearing at the next available day.
so regarding, I'll make a motion regarding proposed ordinance amendment, section 10.02E. I move that the planning commission formally recommends approval of this amendment and requests that township board schedule public hearing for action.
Support.
Discussion? One more roll call vote tonight.
Mr. Boersma,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Lockren, absent, Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie.
Yes.
Chairman Sabada?
Yes.
Ms. Tully, yes.
Thank you. That will move forward to the township board for consideration. I lied. I'm going to have one more roll call vote because this might get a little hairy. The next item, G3, 2023 Planning Commission meeting schedule. It's proposed for our consideration this evening. You see the dates, what we've been requested, and I think it's a good request. I agree with the request, is that we discuss whether we want to move the meetings from 6:30 to 6 PM. So I'll start. I like the extra half hour to get us to 6:30, but what I like better is getting out of here half an hour earlier And in the summer and fall, it's a half hour more sunlight, and I can play with my dog, or I can ride my bike, or whatever. So I'm okay with 6 o'clock. It's a little tight. I know Mr. Boersma's going to disagree with me. I'm okay with either one. If there's objections to 6 o'clock, I could be convinced for 6:30. I don't care strongly, but I guess my preference is a 6 o'clock. But I'm only one vote, and I will respect the majority of the board. So why don't we start at this end, 6 or 6:30, or do you care?
I'm the same, as long as they're on Thursdays, 6 or 6:30, it's fine with me.
I'll accommodate the group,
Okay,
whichever works best for most.
I'll accommodate the group. I'm okay with either.
Any time works for me. I'm local, self-employed, so whatever time it is, I'm here.
Just one comment before I think,
Mhm.
just let you know that, I think it's been like 9 or 10 years ago, we changed the time. It used to be 7 o'clock, and we moved it to 6:30, so. Or 7:30, okay, it was quite a bit later, so.
I do agree with summertime. Nights are valuable, though.
But I'm just saying, that was probably, I'd say 9 years ago, I think that we changed that, because it was after I was elected office that we changed that, so.
There's just something about a Thursday night when you're out of here at a decent time, and it's sun's still in the sky, and it's like, ah.
I think the planning commission got tired of seeing me fall asleep.
But I'm open to change it. Like I say, I was part of moving it from 7:30 to 6:30, and we didn't move it up farther because even at that time, there was 1 or 2
Yeah.
people that objected at that time, so.
Speaking of which,
6:30 is the time for me. It gives me time to get here,
okay,
depending on traffic.
I think we're at 6:30, to be fair. I want to respect every board member here, so. So with that, we,
And I just want to bring
Yes.
up the thing that we changed it, to say that, what we're trying to do isn't something new or unique. It has happened before. when
Yeah.
We changed the time, so it's really just, what's the pleasure of the board,
Si-
and that type of stuff. So.
6:30, another community I work in is 7, and I love 6:30 for the reason I just mentioned. But I also respect Mr. Boersma's time, so 6:30, I support 6:30. So I make a motion that we approve the proposed 2023 Planning Commission meeting schedule as submitted.
Second.
Support?
Was there some reason that this came up again?
Just the board, they're trying to keep consistency with all the boards.
We've moved most all the meetings to 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Happen in the afternoon, so. This is one of the few that's still at 6:30.
Maybe next year.
Depends on how much I work on it.
Jobs, maybe you'll get some jobs closer to home here.
Well, no, we just opened a Bingham Farms office, and I'm spending some time there, but I'll see if I can work Thursdays there. But
Okay.
even then, that's no guarantee.
Do you want to make a note?
I know, the
about,
traffic.
The one, we do have one, the July meeting is not the second Thursday, it's the 4th Thursday. Just,
Verbally state
Just-
that?
yeah, just-
Yeah, for
just-
those, the July meeting will be the 4th Thursday of the month.
And,
Instead of the second.
Instead of the second
generally,
Thursday.
It's that you keep your 4th Thursdays, penciled in case somebody calls a special meeting. We're gonna
Mhm.
try to make it the 4th Thursday. So,
We used to have 2 meetings per month years ago, and we cut down, due to slower activity, we cut down to 1 per month, so.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, so, we've discussed it. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Boersma?
Yes.
Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Lockren absent. Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Chairman Savada?
Yes,
Ms. Tully, yes.
we have a meeting scheduled for 2023. It'll be, for those watching at home or in the audience, it'll be available on the township website, which, by the way, is excellent. You and the staff does an excellent job on that. Item H, I was talking to Mr. Ottman, for those who are watching online. Item H, approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes of November 10th, 2022. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I support. I'm assuming you were just making a motion.
Wait, I said, I'm making a motion to approve the minutes as
Yes, and
presented.
I support.
You support. Discussion?
I don't know if it matters, but they misspelled my last name.
Oh, no.
So I revised my motion to amend the minutes to spell your last name properly. Do you support my amendment?
Yes.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted with the exception that your name shall be properly spelled. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 6-0. Next is item I, consultant reports, master plan update.
I think you all are aware that in January at your regular meeting, we're gonna have the open space workshop. We're getting that organized. We got our panel put together, and I think it's gonna be a very good discussion. It's gonna be right here, right?
Yep.
And that, that time may be different though, correct?
We're doing it at 6.
We're doing it,
It's 6 o'clock, I think is what we said it at.
yeah. So, sorry, Dave, but that's the one, we wanted to be able to give panel members plenty of time, but still get out here at a decent hour. So we kind of got that request to have it at 6, so. But I think it'll be a good discussion. We have some good people. We've got representatives of Land Conservancy, now Mr. Fisher, former supergraduate, will be on it. I think you're on it, right? Or no, the Sue Julian's on it from Land Conservancy, yeah. By the way, Tom has been a long time participant with the Land Conservancy. Are you still active?
Just a number.
Yeah.
Nice.
Over the years, been very active.
I was on the board for a number of
Land
years.
Conservancy work.
Nice.
Yep.
Well done.
A representative of the county. So I think it'll be a real good session, so.
Excellent. Item J, is that it, Mr. Carlisle?
That's it.
Item J, discussion. Any planning commission discussion this evening? Item K, adjournment. I move we adjourn the meeting at 7:23 p.m.
Support.
Support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
Ta-da.
What one were you talking